One human tips that I wish I knew when I first started playing. Because if you're like me and you might have skipped through a tutorial too fast, or you might have started doing something and then it'd be like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm hoping that this helps you out. If you have a question that I didn't answer that wasn't in this video, feel free to ask it, because I do stream this almost every day on my Twitch, and you can come ask questions whenever you want. But I hope this video helps you. One of the most asked questions that I've been asked about this game is, where do I disassemble stuff? This bad boy right here. This bad boy will turn unusable stuff, like baby bottles, just a whole oven, into usable stuff, like metallic fibers, carbon fibers, acid, plastics. If you're looking for materials, this is usually where it belongs. You just run around in the zone that you're in and collect any loose items that you find by pressing Q. You find them, it'll highlight different items, and you just recycle those to get any materials that you may need. You can unlock the disassembly bench under the infrastructure tree right here. It costs 1 point and no money to get this. This is your best friend, and you will use this consistently. You only need one. But while you can disassemble just trash, you can disassemble old weapons, you can disassemble old armor, you can disassemble old mods that you're not going to use. Speaking about the mimetic tree, you do not get enough points to max this entire tree out. Not even remotely. I'm almost max level. I'm missing almost everything from territory construction, and that's fine, because I'm playing with somebody in my hive who's gone down this tree, and I'll explain the hive thing in a little bit. I realized during editing that I did not talk about the hive or the warbands at all, so I didn't explain those systems. The hive is a 4-person group where you can live and just be together. You can have your own territory with your hive, and you guys can live and share resources. You guys can all go down separate parts of the tree and all build together. Like, I'm not even fully in the territory construction tree of the mimetics because I don't need to be, because one of my hive members is. So he can build all that stuff while I can't. But I can also build tier 3 turrets when he can't. So you just have to, you can strategize a little bit. To join a warband, which is your guilds, your 80-person guilds, you have to be in a hive. Whether you're in a hive by yourself or a hive with other people, that's the only way you can join warbands. So I figured I'd explain that before I forgot to do that. And I know there's no footage to go along with it, but sue me. Should you choose that you want to reallocate your entire skill tree, you will not lose your skill points. You do get all of your skill points back. You do lose about 30% of the currency that you spent to get all of those points. And once you start getting into the later levels, they start costing 5 grand, and you just lose 30% of that. Free to respec, but you do get all your points back. So choose wisely. If you find yourself running out of gas consistently after you build your garages, just look for abandoned cars on the side of streets. Abandoned cars anywhere, not in a stronghold. Majority of the time you can interact with a trunk and you'll get free loot, but you'll always get portable mixed fuel out of it. Now you're probably wondering, okay, now I know how to use the mimetic tree points. I know how to get the disassembly bench. How do I get skill points? Where do I get my money from? One of the easiest ways to do this is by questing. You can just run around and just do your tasks, follow the main story, do side quests that you might encounter. That's a really solid way to do it. However, in your travels, you should look for this guy right here. See how he has this clipboard above his head? There's a tutorial for this now. I don't exactly know what it looks like. However, I'm going to explain it anyway. The daily tasks are just that. They're dailies. They give you money. They give you XP. This is the end game zone, which is why this guy gives so much. But you can go around to every city in the game, and they all have a daily guy. And you can just run around, grab dailies from each of them, and as long as they don't have an area-specific task, like this one, loot 1 weapon or armor crate in any settlements in Lone Wolf Wastes, but this one just says make 5 dishes, you can pick up the same make 5 dishes from 4 different cities and complete them all at the same time. You can do the same thing with craft arrows, secure silos. You can, if you find something that does not say a specific area, you can just pick them all up. And I can take these 6, turn around, go to Greywater, go to Deadville, and just pick all those up too. And you can just stack these, and you get a whole lot of XP and a whole lot of money from doing that. Should you not have enough money and you need some, you're down bad for some cash, you can sell things to any vendor with a treasure, a little treasure chest over their head. Like this girl right here. The best item I found to sell so far, you can sell anything you want. You can sell like even the platinum, which is an end game item, is only 50 units, right? 50 energy, 8, 4. I found that selling healing bandages is the best. They're not too expensive to make, just taking antibiotics and some fiber, if I'm not mistaken. 100 a pop. And you can mass make these things. And I actually sold quite a few of these just to gain energy links early game, because it was a little expensive to constantly keep spending mimetic points and money. And also while you're leveling, just so you don't miss these. When you complete these, which are your journey tasks, you can click through these, and each one of these is a reward. Not just finishing the big section, but doing each one of these will net you 50 XP and 30 energy links. Don't be like me and not realize that till you're level 30 and then have to spam click through everything. Taking these in the early game, taking each one of these in the early game will help you a lot more than it will taking it past level 30. But I would just take them as you complete them, or you can hold on to them and dump them all at the same time. That's up to you. I'm not going to tell you how to play a game. And those are just a few ways for you to get money in the early, mid, and the late game. Something that I don't know was explained. There are 3 different ways to shoot in this game. The first one being the least accurate, which is you don't press any aim, just left click, and you spray. This is basically your hip fire, right? This is just, you can move a little bit quicker than normal. You can do this while jumping. You can do this while falling. You do this doing anything just about. It just slows you down slightly. Then you have your second form of shooting, which is the shoulder aim, which is this. That's just holding right mouse button. It's a little bit more accurate. It's actually quite a bit more accurate. And that's probably going to be the main way that a lot of people choose to shoot. There also is a third way that might not have been explained in the settings. If you tap right mouse button, you can aim down whatever sight you have on your gun, whether it's iron or a red dot. And this is the most accurate way for you to shoot. It is it is the hardest way to shoot because you cut your FOV off a lot. I think you're just about as slow as you normally are doing a shoulder aim. You're just more accurate and you can't see as much. But I feel like that wasn't explained to me, and I figured that out through my own means. So I hope that helps you. And my last little piece of advice, but certainly not the least piece of advice, is you can move your territory at any time. And I think pre-level 25, it's on a 30-minute cooldown. Post-level 25, I think it's on a 6-hour cooldown, which really isn't that bad if you think about it. But you can see my territory. This is our hive territory. It's just out of my, I'm out of the bounds now. But I can also press Z to move hive territory. You can also, that won't come up if you're not in a hive, but I can move the entire house somewhere. It lets me place it right here. And I can. If I press this, our whole territory will move directly to where I'm standing. I'm not going to do that. Just remember that moving your territory does have some downfalls. It has quite a few downfalls. You just have to be ready for them. And I'm going to show them to you and explain. So when you move your house, most of these electrical cords will break. And if they don't break, whatever they're connected to won't be powered correctly anymore. And you might have to reset that. If you lose any items, when you move these guys that you put in your little securement containers, these guys will disappear. All of them. They'll all disappear and they'll end up in your terminal, which this is something that's never explained. If you press G, whether it's your hive or your personal terminal, you open up the vault. Anything that was lost while moving, aside from things that completely disappear, will end up in here. As you can see, we moved with a bunch of water storage barrels and all that water got dumped into here. And that's okay. At least we still have it. Stuff like your crops, like these cabbages, should we move, this would just disappear. The planter would still be here, but the crops wouldn't. They just completely disappear out of the planter and you need to replant new seeds into the planter. If you have anything that goes into a water barrel, anything connected through pipes, your water storage, your purifiers, all the pipes need to be reset. There's a lot of things that comes with moving the territory. However, being able to move your territory, I'd rather reset everything than have to rebuild everything. And kind of like a little side tip, if you use meat dryers, which I use the meat dryer pretty frequently because it essentially makes meat that never goes bad. And I have an endless supply of water, so I'd rather be a little thirsty and be able to drink one of my 9,000 purified waters. This thing eats salt. When you put meat in it, you have to put meat and salt, which you actually get salt from a beach. Like if you go down here, which is one of the best places to go, this teleporter in one of the beginner areas puts you right next to the beach and you can just collect salt water. It eats salt. If there is no raw material in here but preserved meat, the salt will just continue to tick down until it's gone. So be careful, because I've lost an entire 5 stacks of salt to doing that and just leaving it overnight thinking it wasn't going to go away, then getting on and they're all gone. Don't be me. Learn it the easy way by watching this video. Now I'm on to the quality of life things. Again, I'm just talking about stuff that I've done that I would not recommend that you do. This thing, it will tell you early to build this Stardust Resonant filter. This purifies Stardust stuff like cortexes, which you'll see quite a bit. It purifies cortexes. Do not use this early game. I wouldn't use this till you're like a level 30 or level 35, because it summons like probably 30 to 40 level 25 enemies, and they will destroy your base. I lost an entire base to this because I fought enemies that were 15 levels higher than me, and they just destroyed everything. And I had to let them do it because there was nothing I could do. Do not be me. I had to rebuild. You don't want to do that. Unless you do, then do it. And I hope this video helped you. I hope you learned something. You watched this whole video, you got to this point, you're like, I learned something. That's awesome. I think that's amazing. If you have any other questions, like I said at the beginning of the video, you can always feel free to come to my Twitch and ask me. If you want to see it in another video, comment it below, because I would gladly talk about this game more. I will talk about this game until my voice box does not work anymore, because I've been enjoying the absolute shit out of it. And I want people to enjoy it and see it for what I see it for. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something.